I think building teams around you is a lost art. Show me any successful person, there's a team around them. I could not do what I do. I am not a lone coach. I am a coach, part of a firm with 60 coaches. Megan, my assistant, is my most valuable resource. Um, and then I have a whole team, right? Like I can rattle off. There's probably 10 people in my team, right? In various levels. Um, and so don't go alone. That's one of our principles at the firm. So if you are a marketable marketer, don't go alone. That's a pro tip.
Many marketers are brilliant at promoting products, brands, or services, but when it comes to marketing themselves, they hit a wall. What does it take to truly apply our marketing skills to our own career? And how can we break through the mental blocks that hold so many of us back? Our guest today is an expert at helping people unlock their full potential and step into their next level of impact. Jon Roberts is a senior partner and executive coach at Novus Global, a firm dedicated to guiding high-performing leaders, artists, and athletes to go beyond high performance. Jon's work focuses on helping clients create thrilling results and profound personal transformation. Beyond his coaching practice, Jon has been a significant mentor and friend to me, consistently advocating for a life lived at full throttle. In today's discussion, we'll dive into Jon's unique approach to coaching, examining how he helps marketers specifically get out of their own way when it comes to self-promotion. You're listening to Marketable Marketer, where we meet with the world's top marketers, founders, and freelancers who are using their hard-earned marketing skills to unlock new opportunities, create more value, and live more intentionally. And today, we're discussing what it means to be a marketable coach. Jon, you and I have worked together for years and have been talking about a lot of the topics that we're going to get into for hours and hours. Let's just dive in. One of the things that I've always loved about working with you is when I get stuck, which is often, you always remind me who I'm committed to be, what is the vision, and make a commitment. And we kind of come back to that again and again. Can you help break down those three pieces? Why are they each important to get someone sort of unstuck?
I think what's incredibly relatable about what you just said is I think anyone listening to this has been stuck before. To get stuck is to be human. And so, yeah, I guess if you never want to get stuck, your solution in life is just to not do anything. I would start with vision, right? And I think one of the reasons I would say 90% of people feel stuck in life because they actually don't know what they want. And so clarifying vision, like what do you actually want? And I want to clarify terms. When I say vision, I'm sure people right now have their very own definition of vision. And so we would say at Novus Global, the coaching firm that I'm a senior partner at, our definition of vision is a picture of the future that produces passion within you. I think a lot of people are probably sitting out there right now and they're stuck. Maybe they have a vision. They're sitting there going, Jon, I have a thing that I want. And I'm stuck. And it's like, well, does that picture produce passion within you? Now we could talk about what is passion, right? And I would say passion is something that you would do even if it's uncomfortable. Like it requires sacrifice. So I would say vision and commitment is integral to a human living a life of growth, living a life where they achieve something. There's a tool out there. Tony Robbins has spoken about it. It's one of our integral tools. And I don't even know what it's called. It's default do, have, be, and empowered. The flip is be, do, have.
Yeah.
And do you mind if I just briefly run through it?
I literally had be, do, have as something I
Perfect.
wanted to bring up. It was one of the more transformative principles that you and I have worked to. I think it'd be really helpful as marketers are looking to sort of think of who do they want to become.
So if there's a marketer out there, step one, let's get vision down. And maybe later, TJ, we can get into like shitty first drafts and how to get a vision.
I have SFD listed too. We're going to play the hits today.
SFD, shitty first drafts. Get a vision, and then without commitment, like when you and I had the opportunity to work together, your life was not going to go anywhere without commitment, right? Once again, defining terms, a commitment to me is a promise. It's an agreement that you make with yourself, you make it with other people. When our clients work with us at Novus Global, commitment is like the engine. It's like, and frankly, any coaching or development work without commitment is all theory. It's a lot of insight. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of talk. And then at the end of every session, okay, TJ, we just had a wonderful conversation. What are you going to do? And by when? And so
Mhm.
that's the commitment side. I would say the default human condition is to live from a place of what are the actions I need to take so that I can have success as a marketer, so that I can have money, so that I can have fame, so that I can have a network, so that I can be successful, right? Like
Yeah.
all incredible things. Your people are out there and they're like, yes, he's speaking to me. If only I knew what to do. Now, therein lies the problem, though, is a human's being is now reliant on them choosing the right action. Like
Mhm.
TJ, you've probably been stuck, I imagine, when you're like, well, John, there's 10 actions that I could do, but how do I choose? Because my value is on the line, my identity is on the line, my
Totally.
safety. To me, this was transformative when I first heard it. You know, my first career was in finance. I was an analyst, and boy, did I live out the do have be, and I was good at it, right? And man, my
Mhm.
value came from having the answer and being successful and getting the promotion. And it's one thing to hear this concept, it's another to hear it multiple times, and it's probably a whole nother thing to integrate it into your life and actually live it. This concept is core to my bones now, but we want to shift do have be because humans are actually not in control of that much. We live in this world where things are constantly changing. I could have success today and something could happen, and tomorrow wouldn't be the same.
Mhm.
The one things humans actually are in control over is their being,
Mhm.
who they choose to be, what they choose to believe about themselves every day. And so a lot of the work that we do is we help our clients go, hey, what is your default being? Like, what do you say about yourself? What do you think about yourself? And then that flows down into do. You take actions or
Mhm.
you don't. Maybe you get stuck and then something happens or nothing happens because you're stuck and you're not taking a lot of actions. We say, hey, TJ, if the only thing you're in control of is who you choose to be every day, like what is your dream version of being? Right?
Mhm.
Tell me about TJ the marketer. How courageous is he? How free is he? How much clarity does he live with? How does he talk to people, right? Is he sheepish or is he bold?
Mhm.
It's really interesting.
With that, I can imagine people listening to this scenario and being like, well, there's the person that I want to be.
Yeah.
There's this aspirational version of myself that I'm more confident.
Mm.
I speak articulately. I have a huge network that
Yeah.
depends on me. But so I guess to that point, when you're saying who are you committed to be, how aspirational and to
Well,
the
we haven't gotten to who you're committed to be yet. So right
okay,
now I'm just
just who
talking like
got it.
spoiler alert, you are somebody right now. So there's this default being. So right now if you're stuck, there's a reason
Mhm.
you're stuck. There's a default being going on.
Yep.
And so coaching, if you work with a coach or if you've ever been around a coach, like listening is my superpower. I have a finely tuned set of ears. People have me in their life because they're saying, hey, John, listen to the words I'm using.
Mhm.
Listen to how I talk about my life because it's revealing who they're being.
Yeah.
And so generally, I like to get to the point to where we've got, okay, I have a good idea of my default being. And man, John, if you're giving me the freedom to dream about my ideal, like the highest version of myself, like, isn't that what we're here for?
Mhm.
Like at Novus Global, we believe that the most fulfillment in life comes from growth, right? Comes from challenge. I love sitting around and talking to old people and hearing all of the reinventions of themselves, right? All the different phases and all the new challenges. I think human beings crave challenge. And so if you're bored, maybe you need a vacation, but more than likely you need a new challenge that's worthy of your skill set, worthy of your life. So, TJ, let's say that you're pretty good. You have high habits of being your default way of being, but now you've got this new inspired, visionary way of being. Hey, TJ, what would it look like to wake up tomorrow and commit to discipline and courage and integrity, right? Doing what you say you're going to do. What would it look like to wake up tomorrow and choose to commit to being that person? So now you're into the do, right? So we have the be, we've got the roadmap, we've got the default, which is likely going to happen. And then we've got the new, which is what we're moving towards. So you might say that's the vision. And so, okay, is it easy enough? Like, well, Jon, if I just say I'm committed to it, is it going to happen? What do you think?
I think there's going to be some gaps, Jon.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say step one, identify the new vision for who you want to be. Step two, begin making commitments towards that. And then you're probably going to break the commitment because you're habitually committed to something else. And I think one of the reasons why people are stuck is like if you imagine a target, like, you're throwing darts at a target. I think one of the default ways of being that humans have is they have comfort. Yeah. They have comfort at the center of their bullseye. And comfort's not bad. I love comfort. I love being comfortable. But I think something's happened to where comfort, safety has made its way to the center of our human bullseye. And I would invite listeners to move comfort away from the center. Just move it a couple rungs out. It's still good. We want it. It's nice. What would your life look like if you woke up tomorrow and challenge, right? That new commitment. My challenge tomorrow is to do that one new thing I said. My challenge is, who am I going to be tomorrow? I'm going to be courageous. So what would that look like? I'm going to call that person that I've been avoiding because I want to get it right. And I don't want to sound stupid. You know what? Tomorrow I'm going to commit to being courageous around that one action. So do. And remember, is there one way to do it or is there 1,000 ways to do it?
There's a million ways to do it. Yeah.
There's a million ways to do it. And so make the commitment, keep the commitment. And then what comes after do, what's the last one?
And then you can have.
This is my life motto. I don't know if I'll ever write a book. If I write a book, the title will be Something Will Happen. When people talk to me about, hey, Jon, what guarantees do I get in working with you? The Jon Roberts coaching guarantee. The one thing I can guarantee you, TJ, is that something will happen. That's have. Have is just an outcome. And we as human, the human life is the ultimate science experiment. You are your character. You have one life and you can reinvent yourself so many times. Who do you want to be? And even I talk to incredibly successful people. They've made massive impact in the world. Their net worth is huge, but they did it from the do, have, be. And they come to me and they're craving identity. And then it's hilarious when literally it's an identity shift. Wait, you're telling me I can choose? And it's a whole new skill set to learn. They almost have to completely learn to do it differently than stress and pressure and perfectionism. I would say that do, have, be ends in burnout. I don't care how good you are at that system, how much money you make, it will end in burnout. It will end late in life or you wondering who you actually are. And I would say be, do, have is infinite, never ending, renewable. I just think of science experiment. I think of humans that have a worthy goal. And this goes into like when you're thinking about a vision for your life or in marketing, it's like choose something, choose a vision, choose an outcome that is worth going after, whether you succeed or fail. Now, let me repeat that. In business, in life, in relationship, pick a picture of your future that's worth going after, whether you achieve it or not. So what I'm talking about there is the person you're becoming. It's like, hey, Jon, even if I didn't get the outcome, I am beyond any version of myself that I could have imagined.
I mean, it just kind of shows how in working with you, how much I've embodied some of these without even having them be necessarily conscious, because that was really the kind of the drive behind creating Marketable Marketer. Was my old way of vision casting was I'm going to cast this audacious vision But if I don't have a successful exit, if it's
Yeah.
not this immensely fulfilling accomplishment externally, then it's not worth it. And so with Marketable Marketer, I lowered the stakes, at least for myself, so low that even if this isn't something that becomes a huge content courses, consulting, marketers are coming out of the woodwork being like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Marketable Marketer, where have you been my whole life? At the very least, I'm having amazing conversations with people that I respect and admire and am becoming a better marketer in and of myself. I'm expanding my network and influence. I'm acquiring a whole new set of skills. I'm launching a newsletter. I'm podcasting. These are things that I've never done personally that are giving me a creative
Yeah.
outlet. Hopefully, there are people that are finding all of this useful and beneficial,
Yeah.
and I'm creating it in community with them. But as you're talking about life as play and experimentation, that is really sort of at the heart of what I'm doing. And it's so much more freeing than having this thing that is just everything's riding on success.
Well, I think another helpful framework as I'm listening to you, it sounds to me like you've chosen a vision that whether I succeed at this or not, whether I sell this company for millions of dollars, whether I get millions of dollars of funding, whether it impacts millions of people, TJ, the human, is going to grow. He is going to adventure. He's going to learn. I will become a better person through this. That's incredible. I love that. The question that I would pose to people is, what is your relationship with failure? And so another reason people get stuck in life is failure. One of the reasons why people don't go after things, one of the reasons why they don't set high, ambitious goals is failure can feel paralyzing.
Totally.
And so a nice, in the early days of working with clients, I still to this day, hey, how do you define success? How do you define failure? So I'll ask you, EJ, how do you define success and how do you define failure? What does that mean?
Success to me means achieving the desired outcome. Failure to me would be not achieving the desired outcome.
I think that's the way I would phrase it is when I experience success in life, it means my expectations were met.
Sure.
So I have expectations that when I turn the water faucet on, water comes out. Success.
Yeah.
If you've ever tried to turn it on and no water, failure. Oh, you feel it, right? I have
Yeah.
success when I'm making coffee in the morning that I will get the beans into the grinder. That's my expectation. Success. When they fall all over the counter, failure.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really interesting is humans, we actually like internalize our expectations. So like one of the biggest reminders of my growth is 10 years ago, if I spilled coffee beans in the morning making my coffee, I had a really strong frustration, a really strong emotional reaction to it. I'm so dumb. That's stupid. My day's behind. My day's not starting off on a right foot. Oh no, like wave. It was just like failure hit me in the face. And maybe if you're listening, you might have your own version. I can tell you now, from time to time, I will spill the coffee beans when I'm making the morning coffee. And now I laugh. I laugh and I say out loud to myself, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, that's not what I wanted to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a failure. It's actually become practice for me. I experience failure all the time, every day. If we have big vision in our life, we have high expectations. I have the expectation that people will text me back, email me back, that they'll say yes, that they'll want to work with me. I have the expectations that I'm going to be able to help my clients win. My clients and I are going after big visions. We fail all the time. We work with a lot of professional athletes. And this concept of what is your relationship with failure is probably one of their number ones. Like what is possible for a professional hockey player, professional golfer, when they're not paralyzed and they're not stuck by, oh no, what's going to happen? What if I lose? What are they going to think of me? And so I would say to live a growth-based life and to live a fulfilling life where you go after vision that matters, it's very important to see success and failure as just an outcome. It met my expectations, it didn't, and not let that get into your identity of who you are.
So I'm curious because that is one of the core concepts around marketable marketer is that marketers have a strong skill set talking about other products and services
Yeah.
objectively. And I
Yeah.
think they were like, hey, I did this campaign.
Yeah.
We were selling coffee
Yeah.
beans, and
Yeah.
people came out of the woodwork and they're like,
Yeah.
this coffee sucks. Or
Yeah.
this campaign, that's not for me.
Yeah.
You see companies like Liquid Death getting hate and they turn it into a
Yeah.
strength.
Very much.
Then marketers would go and say, now I'm going to put myself out there. Now I'm going to talk about me and my ideas and my frameworks. And then people go, TJ sucks.
Yeah.
TJ's not smart. And it does feel different.
Yeah. I think it is different. It's your being, it's your identity.
To your point on not embodying,
Well, the
what
word,
would be your,
yeah.
how
And
would you guide someone who is putting themselves out there quite literally through self-promotion?
well, that's very much, you just outlined very eloquently, do have be. As a marketable
Mm,
marketer, I'm going to do some stuff and then there's going to be a response and then I'm going to internalize it around myself
yeah.
versus like TJ, I have no idea what's going to happen to this podcast. I have so much respect for you because you are doing something and
Yeah.
something will happen and then you can choose to not do it or keep doing it or do it differently. Hey, TJ, as you're about to launch this new thing, who do you want to be? Like there's a version of you that's just courageous and of high integrity and a no, hearing no's. Like you look at any successful creator of anything, they collect a lot of no's. I often remind very successful people this because we don't remember the pain. We don't remember the discomfort. We only remember the good parts. But anybody who's done anything of merit has so many fail stories, guaranteed. Even in our firm, one of the reasons why I think we're really successful at the firm is we've created a culture where winning success is to bring your full self. There is no
Mhm.
hiding at the firm. And so when you're a marketer, I'm curious how marketers are going to respond to this. They're going to be like, no, you can't show that. You need to hide that, show the good stuff. But I really think the marketers out there that will be really good at marketing themselves will have a clear vision. They'll be able to tell you what they care about. They'll be able to be fully seen. I think one of the reasons why I love what I do is there's curiosity.
Mhm.
My job is to be curious where other people have stopped being curious. My job starts when we say, I don't know. Sweet. That's where I get to come in. I don't know how to do that. We've never done that before. My job is to help people become more resourceful with their curiosity.
I think that is a really powerful mindset when you're looking to take on something new, because going back to that fear of failure, when you are looking out and it's like, oh, I want to start a newsletter. I've never done that. I want to do a podcast. I've never done that. I want to start posting on TikTok. Well, I'm not a content creator.
Yeah.
Immediately, all of these unknowns start to envelop you. And it just feels like, well, I don't know where to go next. But I think taking that fear of all of these unknowns and flipping it on its head a little bit and being like, well, I'm going to get curious. Who do I know that
Yeah.
is on TikTok? Or who do I know that has a podcast? Or is there a book I could read? Or is there a YouTube video?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're creating
If,
your own momentum.
and even right there, if I was committed to viewing the unknown as my gift rather than as the enemy, if I was committed to being resourceful, one of the reasons why someone should hire a coach is if they want to increase their resourcefulness.
Mhm.
Coaches do not have answers. We are resource superpowers. So,
Mhm.
like right now in TJ's life, I'm going to put you on the spot. You don't have to answer it. I don't even want an answer, but like TJ, right now, whatever it is that you're passionate about, there are 10 people in your phone right now that you could make a bold, courageous ask of. And they'll all probably ignore you or say no because they're busy living their lives. But that resource is available to you. And even the most successful CEOs in the world, my job is to help them become more resourceful. The higher up we go, the lonelier it gets, and we stop asking for help. We start thinking we have to have the answer. But like you look at any, like especially these days, social media is full of these just incredible success stories where it's like, how did that happen? And it's like, well, they started. They
Yeah.
started doing something, and then as they grow, they need help. And some people choose to reach out and build teams. I think building teams around you is a lost art.
Mm.
Show me any successful person, there's a team around them. I could not do what I do. I am not a lone coach. I am a coach, part of a firm with 60 coaches. Megan, my assistant, is my most valuable resource. Um, and then I have a whole team, right? Like I can rattle off. There's probably 10 people in my team, right? In various levels. Um, and so don't go alone. That's one of our principles at the firm. So if you are a marketable marketer, don't go alone. That's a pro tip.
Yeah. Well, and even myself, I'm in this group office hours, which is people building
Yeah.
portfolio careers, building personal brands. I have someone who's a little bit further along than I am, Amanda
Yeah.
Getz, who has a newsletter, creating content and coaching and consulting. I'm building mine, and hopefully there are people behind me. And I think that's really
And
good
And look at
advice.
right there. Why do people not ask for help? Why do they not go with other people? Think of the beliefs, right? Think of there being, I should already know the answer. I should be able to do it
Yeah.
myself. I don't want to tell people what I'm up to because then if I fail, they're going to think things of me. These are all the reasons humans get stuck. And
Mhm.
so it's almost like we're just talking about, hey, we think there's a better way.
Yeah. I do want to retouch on Shitty First Draft. I feel like that was a little bit of
Oh,
like
yeah.
the Chekhov's gun. Since we
Yeah.
mentioned it, we have to fire it.
Yeah.
Talk about Shitty First Draft and how that could be a tool in someone's arsenal who doesn't know where to start.
Yeah, well, I have to give credit to Anne Lamott, the famous author, and she actually coined the term shitty first draft. Someone asked her, "Hey, how have you written so many books? How are you such a good writer?" She said her secret weapon is shitty first draft, which is don't try to get the perfect thing. Like all of the greatest successes are not, it's not a thing. It's a bunch of drafts that led to the thing. And so even like right now coaching, I'm in like draft 1,000 and it changes and I get to upgrade it. And this tool, shitty first draft, basically just means give yourself a time limit, 15 minutes. I'm going to get something onto paper. Emails. What, like, if you watched me write an email, what is it that I'm trying to do? What do I want? And then I'll just talk the conversation in. Whatever I hit send is a draft and we'll see what happens. But shitty first draft is a way of teaching yourself that it's all practice. It's all practice for where you're going to be next year, right? Like that big thing, like TJ, you launching this podcast, you doing this podcast is all practice. 10 years from now, you're going to look back and be like, oh, I had no idea that podcast was actually a shitty first draft for the way I actually was going to impact the world. Think about conversations that you could have with your friends, your spouse, your boss. Conversations are shitty first drafts, right? Like so many people get stuck because they're trying to have the perfect conversation versus like, hey, I know there's a conversation I want to have. Can I do it in a shitty first draft kind of way?
I think that's something that really resonates with me because, especially as a marketer, I think there's a certain amount of perfectionism that starts to come in where it's like, I've put together award-winning campaigns. I've worked with big
Yeah.
budgets. I've seen the final creative. I've worked with amazing designers. Now it's just me and I have to market myself.
Yeah.
And I don't have the budget. I don't have the designers. And yet I know what great looks like. And I think it can be really hard
Oh, yeah.
for someone to go and have that shitty first draft because you create this unrealistic bar and expectation. So it's easier just to do nothing.
Yeah. And I guess what would you say? What would you say the cost is of doing nothing? Like, what would you say is the cost of getting stuck?
I would say ultimately the cost that I look at, the thing that I am paying for with that inaction is regret. Like that's to me where it's like, oh, I'm paying this cost. I didn't do that thing. And now I have this feeling of what if. And it sucks as someone who has an Evernote full of business ideas that I never
Yeah.
pursued. That's the cost that I at least think of.
Yeah. Yeah. Regret. I think that's a powerful cost. Like, I think people often will look back on their deathbed and I look back at
Mhm.
my life. What am I going to regret having not done, swings not taken? So to me, that's like, I think the biggest cost of an action is your growth. Like, I believe that human potential, TJ's untapped potential, which there is much. Like, it's interesting if you're listening to this right now, imagine if you have tapped into 10% of your potential. We can celebrate the life that you've built using 10% of your potential, but hopefully you go, wait a second, what's the 90%?
Yeah.
Like, where is it? What does it mean? And so when I think about
And that's getting
inaction,
curious again.
and it's just like, there aren't answers here. There are questions, and then there are responses, and then there are
Something
more
will happen.
questions, and then there are actions. I think one of the reasons why people really get stuck in their life is they live it like there is a right and wrong answer. And a lot of the work, when I listen to people speak, because that's my job to listen, when I listen to the words people use, it tells me what's happening. It tells me what they're believing about themselves and the world. And so, right, wrong, that's a way of moralizing things. That's a way of safety. Like, if I'm right, I will be safe. So a lot of people that are trying to launch projects, marketable marketers, like, if you're trying to get it right, good luck. What do I need
Yeah.
to do so I can get it right and have the stuff so I can be okay? I view the world with a lens, not of right and wrong, but of payoffs and costs. So if I choose to be stuck, there are massive costs and there's payoffs. Like, I don't get hurt. I stay here. It's very certain.
Yeah.
One of the
Comfort bullseye.
Yeah, there are great payoffs to being stuck. I get to avoid pain. I get to stay the same. A lot of certainty. There's a lot of certainty in being stuck because I was stuck yesterday. I was stuck a year ago. I'm still stuck. There's a famous quote that says, man finds a certain level of misery and labels it happiness. When I find people that get stuck, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. And once again, no problem. I have a high value for people choosing. I'm not going to tell people what they should do. But I do really get passionate when I talk to a human being and I get to think about their potential, because one of the other costs of getting stuck is actually the people around you. So if you're married, it's your
Yeah.
spouse. If you have kids, your kids. If you're a leader in a company, it's like, I have so much respect for CEOs and leaders at companies, leaders of anything really, just because of the impact. Like, they signed up for a job to impact humans, and it's like, sweet. Like, how do we want to impact people? How do we want people to grow? And I think that is such a noble calling. And so I have a lot of passion.
Yeah. You touched on vision at the beginning, and then you alluded to some of this, but I've heard you in our sessions and then on podcasts talking about this idea of being sober with current reality. I'd love if you could speak, because there's the vision piece, and then there's making sure that we are being honest with ourselves about where things stand
Yeah.
today. And then one of the things that you and I worked on a lot is those gaps. And
Yeah.
how do you think about reality, vision, and then identifying the gaps and starting to make, bringing that vision closer to present day
Yeah.
reality?
When people ask me what coaching is, I will generally get the whiteboard out. I will write vision up here. I'll write reality here. So reality is where you are today. Vision is where you want to go. And then you got gap in the middle. Vision, reality, gap, sort of. And you can move them. You can really inflate your reality. You can say, oh man, I'm crushing it. I'm doing great. But you might be in a lot of debt, or you might be hiding. You might be not admitting your failures when in reality you're down here. If anyone's ever experienced that, that's soul sucking. You can jack up your vision super high to where it's just paralyzing, right? You can't even make movement on it. And so these are all movement. And then you're right. We live every day in order to make commitments to close the gaps. It is our privilege as humans to close gaps. We love gaps. If there's no gaps in your life, raise the vision to create some new gaps, to invite new challenge into your world. One of the ways a lot of people get themselves stuck is they're not clear on that vision. And I feel like we talked about that.
Yeah.
But another reason they get stuck is they are not clear on what reality is.
Yeah.
And so reality is like, how much time do you actually have? How much resources do you actually have? How much money do you have? If you're in debt, maybe you shouldn't be thinking about this project. Maybe you should be getting yourself out of debt so that you can go do the thing. And so whenever I'm going to help somebody, honesty is, I can't coach someone without honesty. And that's my job. I think one of the things I'm really good at is creating the most honest space humans have ever been in. And it's wildly uncomfortable, and it's like wildly inspiring. And they come and they're like, wow, I don't really get to experience this much. And then, okay, how do we create this more than just a coaching session? And it's exciting. Like, once humans get past the fear of their reality, it's exciting to just start writing down where you are. when you invite someone to get clear on their current reality, I should be further ahead. I should have more success. What they don't understand is that shame is actually making their life slippery rather than, hey, it's okay wherever you are. People avoiding finances. People will avoid, I don't want to look at it. Like, I don't want to look at my credit card. A lot of business owners like, I like to avoid. Yeah, of course you like to avoid current reality, but the greatest practitioners in the world, they have good data. They know what they have to play with. They know where they're coming from.
Yeah,
And
that was
so,
something that you really helped me as I was consulting, because I'd be like, oh, I don't know if the client's happy with me.
yeah,
Like I've been doing this for a
yeah,
week, and you're like, have you asked them? Are you
yeah,
happy with me? I was like, no. And you're like, wouldn't
yeah.
that be good to know if they're like, hey,
Wouldn't you like to,
TJ?
wouldn't you like to know? And it's even like, it's funny how this is our profession and coaches will avoid saying, hey, is this working? Are we hitting the goals? Are you getting your money's worth? Are you thrilled? My favorite clients are the ones who come to me and say, Jon, I think we could be doing better. I think you could be bringing it more. And I'm a human. So I'm like at first like, oh no, I feel that. And then I'm like, this is it. This is two of the world's best, and we get to make each other better because I'm committed to making them better and they're committed to making me better. And it's beautiful. To me, and if you have people in your life where you can have these types of conversations, if you do, amazing. Tell them, thank you, keep doing it. If you don't, create it, find it, call TJ, text TJ. TJ, I think you are one of the things that is so impressive about you is community. You care about people. You are courageous enough to put yourself out there. You go where other people don't. And so like, I'm very hopeful for what you're creating. I think there will be people that are like, I want this. How do I do it? There's many ways to do it. But yeah, this to me is sort of the next level of what humans can do together. So
Cool. I appreciate that very much. I'm a little mad at myself for scheduling this at the end of the day, because if this were at the beginning, I feel like I could now go run through a brick wall. Now I'm about to go sit on the couch and watch Dexter. But I really appreciate the time. Obviously, we could talk about this for hours as we have. But for those looking to dive deeper, some of the things that we've touched on, identifying the gaps and be do have and all this, where would you point people that are looking to learn about more of these concepts?
that's a fantastic question. My favorite resource on the conversation we had today is Novus Global's book called Beyond High Performance. Jason Jaggard is our CEO at the firm. He's one of my favorite people in the world, one of my closest friends. He dedicated himself to taking the work we do and what we think about the world and putting it into a book. So Beyond High Performance is the name. What great coaches know about how the best get better. I always have a copy. It looks like this. I love the audio copy.
I listen to the audio. I can recommend that. I listen at 1.2. I wouldn't go faster because there's so much good stuff in there.
I've listened to that. That's like my favorite airplane. So the book, Novus Global. So if you go to www.novus.global, that will be our company website. On there, you can find articles, you can find podcasts, and there's all different types of podcasts. You can hear coaches talking about this stuff. You can hear clients getting interviewed if you want to hear from pro athletes or CEOs. The conversation we had today is a human conversation. Everyone gets stuck. The question is, when you get stuck, what are you going to choose to do about it? Who are you going to choose to become in the process?
Awesome. Well, I've loved working with you. I've really loved the conversation. Appreciate you taking the time, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, Jon.
Sounds good. Thanks.